Jason, over the last week and a half, we predicted this last week, the level of intensity in language and what you could call roughly the conservative movement has reached a fever pitch on social media. It started with, rather agreement, terrible what happened in Israel. And as some people started to ask questions or have differences how to respond, all of a sudden the term anti-Semite, Jew hater, has been thrown out like a frisbee, quite honestly, including myself, which is hilarious. Jason, how should we think about this? Because we're seeing, and Semaphore wrote an article about this, basically a heated division in the conservative movement, rather unnecessarily over Israel, a foreign country. Where does this come from, and why has it become so divisive?
Well, I mean, wow, that's you talk about Israel versus Palestine. That's a big, complicated topic, and now when you add in the element, take someone like myself who is hardcore America first, and so we look at the events, the tragedy that happened in Israel, and we're very sympathetic. We think it's outrageous, but we're so concerned about what's happening here in America, and we're so skeptical or cynical about like these foreign conflicts and how our emotions get used to involve us in events that lead to a 20-year war in the Middle East and all that. And so there have been some of us that are hardcore America first that are like, hey, let's pump the brakes before we just sign off on involving ourselves in a conflict, in the Middle East. And so I think that has made a lot of people that believe in supporting Israel at all costs uncomfortable. But I think this is actually good. I think that we need to have this spirited discussion and debate and come to an agreement or work it out on what our reaction should be and how we should feel. There needs to be some disagreement among teammates so that we all reach a higher level of understanding and we're making rational, logical decisions rather than emotional decisions. Too many emotional decisions and buttons have been pushed that have provoked us to do things that don't actually work in America's self-interest. So that's one aspect of it. I think many people think a lot of this is political, and then there are those of us that think all of this is spiritual. This is a battle of good versus evil, and we need to have that argument and discussion as well. So I'm a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out where I actually come down and stand on all of this. I've had discussions on my show about, hey, what does the Bible actually command us to do? Does it command us to support God's chosen people, Israeli Jews, or does it command us to support the nation, the state of Israel? I think that's two different things. I'm not a big proponent of governments. I'm not a big believer in government. And so I don't know how I feel about Benjamin Netanyahu and what the Israeli government is doing. I do know that I'm commanded by the Bible to support Jews and
Yes,
the
that's
Israeli
right.
people. And so that's what I know for sure. I'm looking for clarity on how I should act as it relates to the nation, the state of Israel.
Yeah, and it says repeatedly in the scriptures, Paul says to bless the Jews, right? And there's not to mention the Old Testament in particular, but in the New Testament it reaffirms that commitment to both the people and the nation of Israel. Does that also mean that you must also, agree with everything that the government of Israel is doing? No, not necessarily. So Jason, just stay right there. We're only about 30 seconds. Just plug your podcast right now. Just about 30 seconds, just where people can find it.
Fearless with Jason Whitlock, wherever podcasts are at. Love for you to go to Apple and subscribe. Love for you to go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Jason Whitlock. Please join, become a subscriber. It's awesome content from a biblical point of view.
From a biblical worldview. I love it.